You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White sports supporters. Well, football news might be getting a little thin for about the next 6 weeks. I noticed that I was looking this morning, the channel, the views drop right now through about the 20th of July. And then training camp starts and, man, right back up. And, of course, there'll be a lot of news coming out of training camp. But it doesn't mean we're not going to keep grinding on this channel. Shit, no. Let's go. Let's go. By the way, I got to thank everybody because views this time this year are 4 times higher than they were this time last year. That's on you guys. I appreciate that. Seriously. I'm looking for this channel to take a massive leap in this football season. So let's talk Browns. And we'll start with Dillon Gabriel. You notice there hadn't been a lot about Dillon Gabriel. The reps, boy, he's not getting much reps. And I think a lot of us, including myself, we have a real feeling that Dillon Gabriel's getting shipped out of town at some point this offseason during training camp, maybe after the first or second preseason game, something. It wouldn't shock me. I don't know if they would do a deal together, but it wouldn't shock me to see him being shipped to the Falcons as their third quarterback, or some other team. I could see a quarterback guru kind of liking what he sees from Dillon Gabriel, and liking his experience. And what I mean by experience is all that time he spent in college. Okay, kind of like Bo Nix without Bo Nix's physical traits. He may be just a career third string guy, practice squad dude. That is possible. Or a career backup a la Chase Daniel. But I seem to remember Chase Daniel having a stronger arm than Dillon Gabriel. And Chase was bigger. Chase was not a big guy, but he was bigger than Dillon Gabriel. And we also got an update on Shedeur. Because I think that quarterback battle's tightening up a little bit with the Browns. So Dillon Gabriel's second season with the Browns, not off to a kind start. Former third-round pick is already operating as an afterthought in Cleveland's QB room. No doubt about it. He's getting like 5 or 6 reps in OTAs. That's it. And the other guys are getting like 3 to 4 times the amount of reps. It's clearly a battle between Watson and Shedeur. There's no doubt. Gabriel's standing took another hit this week after Zach Jackson of The Athletic offered a harsh assessment of what he saw from the second-year quarterback during OTAs. Quote, trying to figure out why there's a damn ad here. Let me see if I can get it to go away. That's nuts. Why would you put an ad? There we go. Okay. Stop. His first throw in 7-on-7s. There we go. His first throw in 7-on-7 is the single worst throw I've ever seen at a Browns OTA. Not just at this year's Browns OTA. Any Browns OTA ever. Yikes. Jackson said on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, he had to slip out of his hands. He was trying to hit a guy in the back of the end zone, and he missed by 25 yards. That is not an exaggeration. People were openly laughing. People being me. It's a blunt evaluation, but Jackson made it clear he was not trying to take a personal shot at Dillon. Quote, I've never tried to make it personal with Dillon Gabriel. He's just not an NFL quality quarterback. He's just not. Wow. Gabriel's rookie season was a mixed bag. 1-5 as a starter. Yeesh. Completing 59% of his passes. Yeesh. 937 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. Okay, I mean, that's a bright spot in all this, was he only threw 2 picks and had 7 touchdowns. But I can tell you from watching the games last year, there was some defensive backs that dropped some interceptions. that were thrown from Gabriel. Gabriel's rookie run ended with a concussion that knocked him out of the lineup, and Sanders took over. So, and look, that's a great example. That's a perfect example. He's 5'10". All right. Russell Wilson retired this week. We know he's the greatest short quarterback ever. Even Russell's like 5'11", 5'11 and a half, 5'11 and 3/4, something like that. I mean, he's a full inch taller than Dillon Gabriel. And now that Russell can't move like he once moved, his height is an issue. Dillon Gabriel's, he can't move from the get-go like Russell Wilson. So that just tells you the Browns just burnt that third-round pick. They said that's for all the perceived good moves the Browns have made in this year's draft, last year's draft. Dillon Gabriel looks like a massive, massive miss. Brown Shedeur Sanders aura changing QB race insider. So, the national folks have told us much of the same sorts of things the local folks have told us. Deshaun Watson is the early leader. The team wants Deshaun Watson to play, followed by backtracking in which it's declared that Shedeur Sanders looks good and this is not over. By the way, Dabo Swinney was at OTAs. Now, supposedly he was in the area recruiting. I don't know, but I think it's awfully odd they made a point to get Dabo in there before Dillon could get in there. And I've seen some Sanders fans going, well, where's the outrage for Dabo? Dabo's not Deshaun Watson's daddy. That is the difference, and it is all the difference. They're not kin. I don't know what else to say. You know, Dabo can come through camp and the OTAs and nobody can say, oh, Deshaun's dada showed up. Unfortunately, that is, I'm sorry, but being the family is what makes that an issue. That's the conflict of interest there. That's been a consistent pattern and probably should be taken as proof that nobody, including Todd Monken, quite knows how all this is going to play out. This week on NFL Network, Cameron Wolfe appeared with fellow network insider Mike Garrett, and the fella who first reported that Watson was the early leader for the job and said that Watson is not the leader for the job. Wolfe said, quote, it's actually pretty wide open. I know there's a lot of early conversations about this is Deshaun Watson's job to lose, but from what I understand, Shedeur Sanders has been really strong the last few weeks of OTAs. I think they've only opened 3 of these to the media. I've talked to people with the Browns who said Shedeur is really impressing them, and he's progressing really well. Cameron Wolfe, quote, a little bit deeper into that, what does that mean? The biggest thing that's grown as he progresses down the field as a quarterback. Sometimes he holds on to the ball too long. Talking to people who really had an impact on his decision, they have seen him grow in processing. I have also heard that something about him, the aura is a good word, is what I've been told. I don't know what that means. So look, don't count out Shedeur Sanders in this race. Monken did come out this week, by the way, and said that he's thinking about naming a starter every day and that Shedeur's really come on. He talks about he goes through his progressions better, yada, yada, yada. By the way, Monken also made a point to say he felt like he had 2 starting caliber quarterbacks. But you got to remember one other thing in all this. They're trying to build trade value. And not with Deshaun, because they literally, because of the contract, they can't move him. But they can move Shedeur's, you know? And I guess there could be a world where they'd be like, let's let Dillon Gabriel be the backup, and they trade Shedeur Sanders. You know? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't anticipate that happening. Now, from what I heard the other day, that long, pretty touchdown pass that I showed on the channel, a couple of people that were at OTA said that if that had been a game, he would have gotten sacked. And that pass would have never happened. I don't know if that's accurate or not. That was just one of the things that came out about it. But, yeah, evidently he's getting the ball out much quicker, and he's processing much better. Well, that's a couple of his biggest flaws. And if he can get 50% better in those two areas, Shedeur's got a chance. He's got a chance. I've said I'm rooting for Shedeur over Deshaun Watson. Tell me what you think. Can Shedeur win the job? Starting to wonder a little bit. Maybe it's not as wide open as, hey, Shedeur's catching up. Maybe. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.